Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to a new video on East Coast Manga. So today we're going to be talking about the Golden Age Arc in Berserk, widely known as the best arc in manga history. And these two volumes right here, man, I don't even know what to say about these two volumes right here. So we have volume 11 and volume 13. 13 is definitely the most like wild one, but wild, see that? So volume 11 is where we get introduced to Wild, and boy, that mini arc is not for everyone. But let's get right into this. I'm not going to give away any spoilers for part of the video, so the beginning part of the video, and then we'll kind of get into some spoilers. This is not going to be an in-depth review. There's already been a ton of people who talked about this, but I want to give my own opinion on certain subject matter and certain plot points and stuff like that, and just, you know, what I liked about it. But for this section, without giving away any spoilers, I do 100% recommend reading Berserk. And that's not for everyone though. If you don't enjoy dark manga, if you don't enjoy a ton of violence and just everything you could possibly throw into a manga is in this arc. And that also includes things like sexual abuse and rape. So if those are two things that you absolutely cannot read, I do not recommend reading this, because there is a lot of that in there. Now, it's used in a certain format or a certain way to basically drive us to hate the antagonist even more throughout the story. And that point right there wasn't actually something that I thought of. That was a point that was made in the group chat I'm in where we talk about manga and stuff like that. But to be honest, I think that's a very, very fair point, because after each of those scenes, which there are a decent amount of scenes that involve that, you really just absolutely despise the antagonist. Whichever villain or enemy that you're focused on, like, it just gets driven through the roof. And I think that's another reason why this manga is so powerful throughout this arc, is because you're really brought through like an emotional roller coaster, which I'll get into specifics a little bit later once we get into some spoilers. But I mean, you really like characters, you really hate characters, like to the point where I don't even know how to describe it unless you've like really watched the TV show, that you're really just like, man, if you saw that actor in real life, like, you wouldn't think of him as a person, you think of him as that character. And even in real life, you'd still like just, I don't know. But I am getting a little off track here, so I will want to kick it back. So yeah, I do recommend this manga, although I don't recommend it to everyone. If what I just talked about really bothers you, don't pick it up. Don't even try it, because whatever I just explained is like 1,000 times worse throughout the series. It definitely has some of the most graphic scenes that I've ever seen out of manga, and the artwork is unbelievable. I know everyone says that, but every single panel has so much detail, and even scenes that don't need that much detail, like let's say a giant battle scene where there's so many people and there's so much going on. You know, there's certain artists that would just focus on the main area and then kind of just like not really focus on faces or like armor or stuff like that. You know, just it would be there, but you wouldn't really need to focus on it. With these scenes, it's like every single person is uniquely drawn, and drawn so well that there's just, the attention to detail is unreal. The characters are also extremely memorable. You remember every single character and you get to know them pretty well by name. It may seem a little overwhelming at first because there's a lot going on, and it does transition. I think the first couple volumes are him, you know, years into the future, and then it kind of goes all the way back to his childhood. It's very similar to Vinland Saga in the way that, you know, Vinland Saga did that, although this really like went into way more detail, and there was a lot more going on from the time he was essentially a baby to kind of like a young adult. But honestly, that's enough of talking about the no spoiler section. So this next section we're going to enter into, there are going to be spoilers, so this is your final warning. Don't continue on if you haven't read this yet, because I highly recommend you read this without spoilers. And I'm going to say that again. I highly recommend you read this manga with no spoilers. It is the best experience not to know what's going to happen. Alright, so now let's get into some fun stuff, or kind of fun. I don't really have like a huge game plan for this. I'm just going to bring up a couple topics that I thought were super interesting and just talk about. So the first is the 3 silver coins. That made me so angry. Oh my god. So if we're talking like scumbags throughout this manga, Gambino is definitely like top tier scumbag. And it's really disappointing because I feel like a lot of the reason that Guts is the way he is like today, so I'm not past the Golden Age arc, I literally stopped there just so I could make this without like having anything else running through my head. But I feel like a lot of the reasons why he has these issues is because of that trauma. And for those of you guys who are here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not going to get into specifics, but you know what I'm talking about. And you know, the fact he really sold him out for 3 silver coins is just, I didn't even know what to say about that. But kind of in that same realm, let's quickly touch on the amount of kids who just get like brutally murdered in this. That is so dark. Like, that's not something you see throughout a lot of manga. The Drifting Classroom is something that I think back to when I think about that kind of stuff, or you know, like Junji Ito's type manga. But I feel like a lot of artists and authors or mangakas, I feel like that can be a very touchy subject. And Guts, I think it was like one of the generals or the captains when Guts absolutely impaled that general or captain's son. That was tough. That, you know, it's one thing if it's like the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones and you're like, wow, like this kid absolutely deserves to be killed, like just kill him. And you know, the king got poisoned. But this was like, it was kind of sad because it was a little reminiscent of when Guts was training with Gambino, even though it's not the same situation, but still, you know, when he was sitting there watching that, that was tough. And I feel like those kinds of moments are what really makes Berserk stand out against other manga. Like, that's just something you don't see. Also, another topic to touch on is the fact that this manga is extremely satisfying, at least in my opinion. Like, there's enough foreshadowing, at least in my opinion, to know that something bad's gonna happen, or know that something good might happen, but it's not too much to the point where it ruins the manga and you're able to guess everything. And then also the extremely satisfying, just like, I don't know, there's just scenes where it's like, so for example, the torturer, that little like maggot-like creature, getting just absolutely demolished and Guts just busting through the door. Like, you knew that was gonna happen, and it was just amazing. And then going on to the queen, and how, you know, the queen tried to assassinate Griffith, and you know, her little lackeys, how they all burned in that tower. I mean, just A1. And that's something where you kind of knew that was going to happen, at least me. Like, I knew something was going to happen. I knew he couldn't just be dead, because there was the little foreshadowing part where Guts was like talking to Casca and was like, you know, she doesn't even know what's going to happen tonight, and we didn't know what was going to happen tonight, other than the queen, you know, trying to poison him. But man, that was so good. Next topic I'm going to talk about is Wild. Wow. So I have not watched the anime, but I was told that he's actually not in the anime, and you can correct me in the comments if that's incorrect, but if he's not in the anime, I could 100%, like 100% see why he would not be in the anime. He is the most wild antagonist I have ever read about, ever watched, anything. Like, there's nothing that even compares to him. He is literally what nightmares are made out of, and the amount of sexual abuse that stems from his crew is just nauseating. It is wild. Like, they are just the most violent individuals that I have ever seen in a manga, and probably will ever see. I don't even think like that stuff isn't even, I don't want to say it's not allowed, because Japanese culture is different than Western culture, but I feel like that's just not something you're gonna see in newer manga. And I think that's also the reason why a lot of people tend to, or I don't want to say a lot of people, but I've had a couple of people who told me they basically skip that portion of the manga when they reread, which, like, I get it. Also, I don't think anything happens, and I don't think anything will, because it's probably something that doesn't need to be revisited, but I definitely think the princess should kill the king. I think the king is a disgusting human being, and I just, like, nothing good can come from him staying alive. And I know he's pretty old towards the end of the arc, but he's also an absolute scumbag. Casca, in my opinion, I actually really liked. I think, you know, she's not Guts, she's not Griffith, like, she doesn't have this amazing, you know, fighting ability, but she has definitely above average. Like, it's better than anyone else in that group. And I thought the end where she's basically like numb and just doesn't even, almost inhuman, her mind's just like fried. I thought that was like a super sad way to go. Like, being in that state to some people is like even worse than being dead. And I'm kind of curious if anything's going to evolve from that, because she is marked for death. So I don't know. I'm very curious if that's going to factor in later on in the story. And then ending on Griffith, he is also, I'm not gonna put him above Wild, but he is just below him. He is the, like, one of the most like scummy, horrible antagonists you could possibly have. Like, there is such freaky shit that happens at the end of this manga. You know, when you look at, first of all, him killing everyone, or being responsible for killing everyone. You know, there's some people who'd be like, oh, well, he had no option, he was super weak and couldn't do anything, wasn't gonna be able to do anything, kill yourself. You kill yourself, that's one person, instead of just deciding that you're going to kill an entire tribe. I understand the lore of becoming a god. Actually, I don't. But I can see the conflict. But at the same time, he is responsible for killing all those people who were his followers, his friends, his soldiers. So that is some scumbaggery right there. Also, the fact what happened with him and Casca at the end of the arc was just disturbing. That was, honestly, my man Guts has already gone through enough, and the fact he had to go through that is just, I don't even, like, there's no level I could put that at to kind of measure it against other things that have happened. But that was definitely one of the worst things that has happened in this arc, at least in my opinion. And then her, like, demon spawn baby, that thing was disgusting, and it kind of grew kind of fast. And apparently it's going to try to find them again. Guys, this is, it's hard to put into words and make a video on this, because you could make videos upon videos. You could have a channel just based off Berserk. And majority of videos coming from the Golden Age Arc. There probably are channels that are like that. I mean, there's so many different topics that you could make videos on, that trying to put it all together in one video is just, it's very, very difficult. But at the end of the day, those are my thoughts. The things I didn't like, I can't really think of any right now. Honestly, I liked everything about it, to be honest. There was certain things that made me really happy, and a lot of things that made me really, really angry, but not like angry because it was bad, angry because it was amazing storytelling that just made me feel some type of way, you know what I mean? But that's gonna be it for this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear your opinions down in the comment section, and yeah, that's gonna be it for this video, and peace out.